right, Commish Radio Show back again. And this has been a very exciting weekend, as you know. We're interviewing Judge Ken Tapscott. I met you at one of my other radio shows on Heaven 97. That's when I first met you. You had your jacket on. I remember that. And, you know, that was well, I didn't expect to see you on the show. I asked you, would you want to come on the show? You said, yeah, sure. And then, you know, now, I didn't expect to see this kind of conversation to be fired up like that.
Well, I thank you again for inviting me on your show. I have done a lot of interviews. I was on Al Green's show several times, and then I went on Robert Ashley's show one time, and he was really cool. I'd actually never met him before. Then I met him short before I went on his show. I met him at a fundraiser for the new Mount Zion church, and you got to hang out with him for a little while. He's a really cool guy. I like Robert.
He is.
And Al Green's a good guy too.
They're both good guys.
Yep.
Hopefully you'll be at the. There's a shameless plug now. May 12th, NAACP, Mesquite NAACP.
I will be. In fact, I'm a sponsor.
Hey, he'll be there. Hey,
so yes.
So we're gonna buy another tape, right? so we want to go ahead and. Again, thank you for coming on the show. We have some people that have been on the Ed Gray political page, joined it as well. And this is from Anthony Bond, former president of the Irving NAACP. He writes, I recently was called to jury duty, and Judge Tapscott was the judge that morning who personally appeared before us to instruct us on the history and how important jurors are to our American judicial system. Recently, I saw a Facebook post by someone who was angry at our system that he said he would not willingly serve and that his anger at being summoned was off the chain, and he asked what can he do not to serve. Trying to get out of jury duty. That's what the guy was trying to get to answer. What would you tell, this is a question to you, Judge Tapscott, what would you tell someone with this attitude towards serving on a jury?
What I do when I go in and I try to go into the central jury room as much as I can, because some of my colleagues simply don't like to do it. And then some, it is intimidating when you go into the central jury room and there are 500 or 600 people in there. It's a big deal, and it's a huge room, and some folks are intimidated by an audience that large. I love it. And what I tell everybody who shows up for jury service is that jury duty is one of the burdens of American citizenship. Just like paying taxes, there are other burdens, and jury duty is a burden. But what jury duty gives you is a benefit of American citizenship. It is a benefit to every American citizen to ask 6 or 12 of your fellow Americans to listen to what you have to say before you are deprived of your freedom and incarcerated for any reason. That's a benefit. It is also a benefit of American citizenship to ask 6 or 12 of your fellow Americans to listen to what you have to say before you are deprived of your money or your property for any reason. When you go back in American history, before we won our independence, the King of England was not honoring the right to jury trial. That was supposed to be part of the deal when the colonists came over here, and judges were appointed by the crown or the governors who'd been appointed by the crown. And sometimes people were incarcerated without jury trials. If you go back and read the Declaration of Independence, you will find that Thomas Jefferson specifically articulated to King George that one of the reasons we were declaring our independence as a nation was because the king was not giving us jury trials. It was part of the reason we declared our independence, and we fought a war. And this gentleman just needs to understand how important it is that if his freedom was at stake, that he would want people to listen to what he has to say before he's put in jail or sent off to prison. He's got to sit back and reflect for a moment. Yes, jury duty is a burden. It is a pain in the rear end sometimes. Dallas County tries to make it convenient. I'm sure that you noticed, if you've been summoned for duty in Dallas County, that you have the ability to reschedule your jury service if you're summoned at a bad time. Knowing that you can reschedule your service at a time that's most convenient for you really means there's no excuse in failing to show up. You need to help carry the load for all fellow Americans, and you get the benefit that if your freedom or your property is ever at stake, you can ask 6 or 12 of your fellow Americans to listen to what you have to say. It's just one of the burdens that we all have agreed to take upon ourselves. Our Constitution gives a right of jury trial both in criminal cases and in civil cases. We have the broadest right of jury trial of any nation on earth, and he just needs to sit back and reflect on the importance of protecting that right and not just leaving it to the judges.
Okay. thank you, Anthony, for submitting that question to us. Appreciate it. If you guys would go look on future shows, go on the Ed Gray Political page and send us those questions in, and we'll get those in to the guests. Campaign's going along, and I was on Facebook, as I always am, trying to get those questions through. I answered the questions through, and up pops another one in which you had raised your voice at someone. What was up over there?
Yeah, I've seen some. You know, I love the internet because, don't we all love it, because you can get quick access to information. But some of these social chat rooms, they're just echo chambers, and the information is not very accurate. What happened was I was campaigning during early voting, and someone associated with my opponent's campaign actually came over to the polling location. It's a man, not a woman, because I've seen some of the stuff on social media where this argument is played out on video, and these people think that I'm in an argument with a woman. This is not a poll worker. It's not a female. It's not a candidate. This is somebody that's actually helping my opponent, trying to hurt me. He comes out and starts an argument at the Fretz Park Rec Center, and then after I think the argument's over, he screams back at me, "You're going down, Tapscott." And then that's when they turn on it's almost like it was a setup. And I'm like any other man, or any other human being, but you know, I can't speak for you, but there comes a point in time, and I'll just speak for myself. An argument's one thing, but eventually I'm going to get tired of hearing it. And this has nothing to do with my judicial temperament. This is not even involved in a courtroom. Somebody came out, started an argument, and he wanted to keep arguing, and I'd had enough. So, and I know you got a limit. I know the other two guys in this room got a limit. You don't necessarily need to lose your cool, but after somebody won't shut up and they won't leave you alone, eventually every man that I know is going to say, "I've had enough." And that's when I made clear to him I'd had enough. Okay. And so I've seen some crazy things on the internet about this, saying I'm yelling at a woman, I'm yelling at a poll worker, I'm yelling at a candidate. None of that is true. It's just it is a guy. He may look a little feminine, but it's just a guy, and he's out there trying to undermine and hurt my chances.
Okay. We'd like to have you back on the show at a later time, but in the closing minutes that we have, and this is really, really, really weird. We wish you would have been on here for 2 hours, to be honest with you. Tell us why we should be voting for you.
You know, I want to go back to what I talked about a few moments ago. I think that serious people, when they walk in and vote, whether they be black, white, male, female, Christian, Muslim, Jew, we all have to have the goal of making sure that we elect serious people to do serious jobs. And I think that if you look at my qualifications and compare it to my opponents, you will know instantly who you should be voting for. I have over 420 jury trials. My opponent has 0. I have over 21 years of civil law experience. My opponent has 6 months. I was named Dallas County Democratic Elected Official of the Year last year. My opponent has no history whatsoever in the Dallas County Democratic Party helping any Democrat. I'm endorsed by every single Democratic organization other than the Tejano Democrats. And the only reason that she got that endorsement is that it's basically controlled by Domingo Garcia, who's funding almost her entire campaign, along with Les Weisbrod and a guy named Ted Lyon, who are unhappy about a decision I made in a medical malpractice case over 4 years ago. And this is it's an attack against judicial independence. What the public wants is courage from the judiciary. We celebrate courage when a fireman runs into a building and saves somebody whose life is at stake, or a police officer apprehends somebody who's just committed a crime or may have raped a woman or done something like that. We celebrate courage. We need to celebrate courage on the bench as well. When judges make difficult decisions and stand up for the rule of law, then the public and the lawyers who respect the integrity of the profession itself should stand behind a judge, whether it be male or female, black or white, who shows courage. I'm asking you to vote for re-election. Ken Tapscott, County Court of Law, number 4.
All right. I'm all choked up, as you can see on the Commish radio show. And we will come back next week, in which we will talk again. I believe your opponent will be on the show next week. Okay. So, hey, I know that you guys will be listening in and tuning in. Commish radio show. We tuning out right now, getting ready to go to Jim Austin Event Center, in which yours truly will be the master of ceremonies there. We'll see you guys over in Fort Worth, all right? Take care, Commish Radio Show. See you soon.
Wake up, Dallas Fort Worth. This is Ernest Walker, better known as the Black Batman, and the Batman don't come unless it's the Commish.